Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second annual Black-Owned Media Upfront presentations. I'm Kathy Haley, co-founder and publisher of TVNewsCheck, and I speak for all of my colleagues when I say we are very proud and pleased to be bringing this event to you today. Welcome to the nearly 2,000 advertising and agency executives, managers, and professionals who have registered for this year's Black-Owned Media Upfront. We're happy to have you here. To our audience, if you want to ask a question at any time, please type it into the Q&A feature on your Zoom screen. Please avoid using the chat for your questions, as we're using that for internal communications. Today, we're going to be bringing you BOMX, the Black-Owned Media Exchange, HBCU Go, the Africa Channel, Entertainment Studios Networks, This TV, Black Enterprise, the Weather Channel Espanol, the Weather Channel Plus, and Pattern, and last but far from least, Ebony and Jet. Tomorrow we'll be back at 1 p.m. ET with the Griot, Local Now, Sports.tv, Black Star Networks, Urban Edge Networks, and the HBCU League Pass, Entertainment Studios Syndication, the Allen Media Group's local TV stations, rolling out Steed Media Group and Central Cities Productions. We'll be sending you links to the videos of today's and tomorrow's presentations, and we'll also be sending you a follow-up email with contact information for all of the presenting companies. It's my pleasure now to introduce our MC and the founder of the Black-Owned Media Matters movement. Byron Allen is founder, chairman, and CEO of the Allen Media Group, the largest solely Black-owned media company in America, and certainly one of the largest in the world. It operates 27 Big Four network-affiliated local TV stations in 21 markets. It has cable networks, broadcast over-the-air networks, streaming apps, including Local Now, The Griot, Sports.tv, and HBCU Go, and it produces and distributes 48 syndicated television programs. Byron's Entertainment Studios Motion Picture Group is lining up a healthy slate for the next year. Byron is the founder of the Black-Owned Media Matters movement, which for 2 years has been working to establish a significant benchmark allocation of advertising budget investments by global brands and media agencies in Black-owned media companies. Welcome, Byron.
Well, thank you, Kathy. That was an amazing interview. You would make my mother proud, and I appreciate that more than you know. And I may even play it for my kids who think I'm the biggest dork ever, but that's what I get. I understand that's what kids think of their fathers. You know, I have a 13-year-old, 11-year-old, and a 9-year-old, and they just don't understand why anybody would even talk to me. So I'm gonna play your intro for them today when they come home from school. So thank you very much. It's good to see you. And how about this? Welcome to our second annual Black-Owned Media Matters Upfront. And I want to thank everybody out there who is attending. And you know that right there says a lot. It means you're leaning in, you care, and that's where it starts. You need to lean in, and you need to care. We have a big issue. This is unfortunately a very big issue, and it continues to be a big issue because we do not have that equity. We do not have that real economic inclusion for Black-owned media. Now, I have said this before, and I will say it again because I think it is worth repeating. Coretta Scott King, Martin Luther King's widow, was a friend of mine. I purchased the rights to her life story, her life with Martin, because I think it's one of the greatest love stories of all time, Martin Luther King Jr. and Coretta Scott King. And I consider her, Coretta Scott King, the true queen of America. She's the one who made Martin's birthday a national holiday. And he is the only American to have his birthday as a national holiday. And she said to me, Byron, and because I really wanted to get to know her and get to understand Martin Luther King better through her eyes, the person who would know him better than anyone. You know, his partner in life, the mother of his children. And she said to me, Byron, as Black people in America, we have 4 major challenges. Number 1, end slavery. Number 2, end Jim Crow, which I think was more damaging than slavery, because at that point we went from becoming assets to liabilities, and that's when they started lynching us and incarcerating us and murdering us and full-on genocide. And then she said, number 3, achieve civil rights, which right now we still haven't managed to do that, unfortunately, here in 2022. And then she choked up and she said in number 4, the real reason they killed my Martin, achieve economic inclusion. And she said, Byron, they didn't kill my Martin over the speech he gave, I Have a Dream. It wasn't the I Have a Dream speech. It was the speech he gave in February of '68 in Stanford University, where he said there are two Americas, and one America has access to opportunity, education, economic inclusion, and the other America does not. Two Americas will not survive. We must achieve one America. Now, here we are over 50 years later, over half a century, and the great prophet Martin Luther King Jr. told us this day would come, and we are reckoning with it because we do have two Americas, and we cannot have one America until we provide economic inclusion for all Americans, especially Black America, the furthest left behind, and pretty much the only one where, because of Jim Crow laws and rules, was designed to be excluded and to provide economic genocide against Black America, using education and economics as a way to destroy us after slavery because we weren't wanted here. So this is a very ugly truth about our nation. And I found it to be very prevalent in the ad industry. And about 2 years ago, I decided to really go on this journey and have this conversation with the ad industry. I had a very similar conversation with the cable industry, where I ended up suing the cable industry for about $40 billion. Why? Because I was a big supporter of Senator Obama and Vice President Biden, and they came to me and they said, these companies are trying to get bigger. And they had me sit with their FCC and their DOJ. And they said, and I'm in a room with the DOJ and I'm, talking to 18 lawyers, for half a day. And they're asking me all kinds of questions and writing down the answers. And they're asking me about these big corporations that are trying to get bigger. And quite frankly, DC still calls me and asks me these questions about these corporations. So for so-called good corporations, they're for the right reasons. They're out there and they're involved. And I'm like, no, are you kidding me? These are horrible corporations, the ones that are trying to get bigger and they're in front of you and they're trying to get permission to get regulatory approval. These corporations are straight up evil. They do not provide any economic inclusion for Black-owned media. And what I said was, they're spending about $70 billion a year licensing cable networks, and not one penny is going to Black-owned media, not to be confused with Black targeted, not one penny. And I said, what you have is you have a cable ecosystem that's through the lens of a white male. Women don't own their cable networks. Hispanic people, you got a bunch of white guys that own Spanish language networks and they can't even speak Spanish. Asian people are invisible. They don't have any inclusion at the table, and gay people do not have any inclusion at the table, and they cannot produce their image and how they're produced and distributed and seen around the world. And we as Black people, we have zero at the table. And if we are not at the table and we're not controlling our cable networks and how we're produced and how we're distributed and how we're seen around the world, we do not have a voice. And this is not a real democracy. This is a fake democracy. A fake democracy. And they said, we agree. The government said to me, we agree. But everybody's afraid to speak up. Everybody's afraid to do something about us. And I'm happy to do it. But I don't want to work with you, the United States government, because quite frankly, I think you're a bunch of mall cops. These laws are on the books and you're not enforcing them. So I will handle it. And what I did is I used the Civil Rights Act of 1866, Section 1981, which is the very first civil rights statute put on the books to protect the newly freed slaves. It was put on the books over 150 years ago. Most white people forgot they had put it on the books, and most Black people never knew about it. And we successfully used this law to sue the cable industry to the tune of $40 billion. We prevailed in downtown Los Angeles. They were unhappy. They took us to the Ninth Circuit. We prevailed in the Ninth Circuit. They were unhappy. They took us to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court didn't rule on my case. They ruled on what is the level of scrutiny I must provide in order for the case go forward. I achieved that level of scrutiny, and my multi-billion-dollar lawsuits went forward. And I'm happy to tell you, all of those lawsuits were settled, and I'm very happy with the settlement and the outcome. The way I look at it is we're undefeated. Now, what came out of that was one of the folks that I had sued, one of the chairman CEOs, said to me, Byron, before you had sued me for $10 billion, I wish you had reached out to me and talked to me and told me the issue that was going on before you brought down my stockholders on me and my board of directors and, you know, my consumers and government regulators and on and on and on. You should have communicated and given me the opportunity to be on the right side of history. And I said, you know what? I'm glad you said that to me. The next time I see an issue, I will give people the opportunity to be on the right side of history, because I don't think people really want to be racist. I don't think people really want to exclude. I don't think people really want to be a part of economic genocide against a group of people. So I'm going to give people an opportunity to do the right thing, to be on the right side of history. So when I saw what was going on with Madison Avenue, and remember, I'm 60 years old, and I've been doing this now for over 40 years. And I've seen a lot of changes and a lot of people come and go. And my observation of Madison Avenue is very clear and very simple. Madison Avenue, in my humble opinion, is very white and very racist. Madison Avenue conveniently spends hundreds of billions of dollars and does not spend any money with Black-owned media, not to be confused with Black targeting, not to be confused with minority. It's not minority, because minority is defined as white women. When it's time to spend money, you know, they redefine Black to the minority, and then they redefine minority to something that's not Black. It's Black, it's not minority. And it's not BIPOC. It's not Black indigenous people of color. It's Black. It's Black, it's Black, it's Black, it's more Black. No other name, it's Black. It's not minority, it's not diverse. There's an automotive company out there that likes to use the word diverse. It's not diverse, it's Black. Do whatever you want to do with diverse, with minority, with BIPOC, but let's really have this conversation about Black. And let's make sure we provide real economic inclusion for Black. What I have found in this last couple of years is that corporations have fallen into three categories. Category number one, the worst, is screw those Negroes. Screw those Negroes. I'm not going to do anything. And I'm going to talk about that. Screw those Negroes. That's not going to work. That's a bad, bad decision. Really bad, really bad. Category number two, what's the bare minimum I can do with these Negroes so I can get them to shut up, get out of my face, and I can go back to my white privileged life? Not good. It's still institutionalized racism. I say to every chairman and every CEO, lean in, be the chief investment diversity officer. You're getting paid the big bucks, do the hard work. Do not leave this to anybody else to handle, because this eventually will be on your desk. I highly recommend that you personally lean in and you personally make sure that there is economic inclusion and economic justice as it relates to your corporation and Black America. I guarantee you, with everything that makes me, that you and I will directly, eventually have this conversation. And I want it to be a good conversation, Chairman, CEO, a good one. There's no scenario in which I am not going to have this conversation with you. I guarantee you, we will be one-on-one at some point. So those first two categories are not good categories. Screw those Negroes, and what's the bare minimum I can do with these Negroes so I can get them to shut up? We got to move to category number three. Lean in. Lean in. Do the right thing. Go the extra mile. Provide real economic inclusion. I had a very successful, high-ranking white advertising executive, and she means well, and I appreciate her. And she said, a number of my white clients, they're just tired about this conversation about Black-owned media. And I'm like, really? You're talking to the wrong guy. I do not care about tired white people complaining about Black people saying we do not have economic inclusion. Try being Black all your life and dealing with this, and then let's talk about who's tired. This conversation and this movement hasn't even begun. And everyone will be held accountable. Everyone will be asked publicly, privately, and if need be, anyway, we need to ask, because we reserve our legal rights. Why is it that you're discriminating against Black-owned media? It's unacceptable. So that's how this journey began. And now we're into year 2. And what I will say is that we have a long way to go. And the reason we have a long way to go is because a number of folks have tried to play games. We've made it very clear you need to declare a percentage of your ad spend. That is the right thing to do, to be on the right side of history. That is the fair thing to do. A percentage of your ad budget should go and be dedicated to Black-owned media, not to be confused with targeted or diverse or minority or BIPOC. Owned, truly owned. Not a Black rep representing white-owned media, and then the Black rep goes in, gets money targeted for Black-owned media, and then they give it to what is, again, back in the hands of white-owned, because this is money that needs to come into our communities. So we can help you with that, and I'm going to talk about that. So this is very important that we get this right. It's also important that you do the percentage, because that right there needs to be transparent, and that is what helps gets the ecosystem healthy. Martin Luther King Jr. said it best. It is a cruel jest to say to a bootless man, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and he doesn't even have a pair of boots. Think about that. For over 150 years, Black-owned media has been excluded and neglected, but you want us to act like and be like we're white-owned media that you've supported for 150 years. That is institutionalized racism. I'm going to exclude you. I am going to make sure you have nothing. And now when we start this conversation about including you, I want you to act like you're white, and I want you to act like I've been supporting you for 150 years. That's disingenuous, and that is racism. Now, what some folks are doing is they're saying, well, Black-owned media isn't that big and isn't that great and can't take in this money, and they can't deliver. Black-owned media can't deliver. You're right. No one can deliver anything if you have starved and neglected for over 150 years. So now you need to lean in and you need to support something and fix something you started. You need to do sponsorships. I said this day one, sponsorships. You need to invest. You need to invest. You need to do sponsorships. That's what you need to do. That's leaning in. That's addressing a real issue. There's such despair when you think about who we are. We're about 13 to 14% of the population, but we don't receive any of your budgets. We should have allocated to us 5 to 15% of your budgets going to Black-owned media. Now, some of it can be sponsorship, some of it can be a buy, but a significant portion of it should be sponsorship. Some could be programmatic, some could be a buy, but it should, a significant portion should be sponsorship, more sponsorship. You cannot say to what is less than almost a handful of Black-owned media, this is how you should act after the way you have acted for 150 plus years. It's time to do sponsorships and time to lean in, time to not do the excuses. Do not suggest, because there's one advertiser who will be dealt with, who has taken the position they're not going to declare a percentage. And I have done everything I could and I can to express to them, it's very important that you declare a percentage. My colleagues will not accept you not declaring a percentage going to Black-owned media and a percentage going to sponsorships. So with that said, I want to talk about, now that I've taken 2 years of my life, and I'm 60 years old, so I value my time more than I value my money. So this is a big deal when I say to you, I've taken 2 years of my life to communicate the issues, the challenges, but also to be here to help provide the solutions, the support, the guidance, and the pathway to success. So I want to talk about briefly, before we move on, a couple of things. Number one, my colleagues and I have come up with what we call the 10 worst corporations in America that do not do business with Black-owned media in a significant way, if at all. This is what we consider to be the worst systemic corporate racism in America today. So let me tell you who the top 10 are. We didn't do this last year because we gave everybody an opportunity to do something and get it right. But after a year, these are the ones who we believe took the position, screw those Negroes. Screw those Negroes. And we're not happy about it. Number 10, and I'm going to go from 10 to 1. Number 10, Microsoft. We could not find any Black-owned media that got 1 penny from Microsoft. Shame on you, Microsoft. We now understand why government considers you evil tech. You're living up to it, Microsoft. And this is a message that needs to be delivered to every chairman and CEO, CMO, and board of directors of every corporation. When all the Black-owned media is coming together and saying, hey, this is a problem, I assure you it's a problem. Number 9, Nestle. You have not spent nearly enough of your more than $500 million budget. It is negligible. This is really disappointing. Number 8, RBI, which owns Burger King and Popeyes. Really? Are you kidding me? This is a joke. Number 7, Pfizer. Come on, United States government. Why are we doing so much business with Pfizer when Pfizer can't figure out how to do business with Black-owned media? But yet wants us to tell everybody Black to get a vaccine. Really, Pfizer? You can do better. Number 6, Lilly. Come on now, Lilly. Chairman, CEO, CMO. Number 5, Sanofi. Sanofi, you must do better. With nearly $1 billion budget, I should not be able to talk to my Black colleagues and they don't even know how to pronounce your name. I said Sanofi, they said bless you. That's how bad it is. They don't even know your name. Number 4, Clorox. Clorox. Sitting here in Northern California with a serious ad campaign going after Black women for Lysol, even using a Black woman to be your spokeswoman. Clorox, horrible. Number 3, it's not a surprise, McDonald's. Now, everybody knows I have a $10 billion racial discrimination lawsuit against McDonald's. And that lawsuit has made history. That lawsuit has been given the green light by, and I'm sorry, I said by Clorox, it's Pine Sol. I meant to say, I said Clorox, Pine Sol, Clorox, Pine Sol. But McDonald's, we have hit you with a $10 billion lawsuit, and we made history because the judge said the $10 billion lawsuit could go forward. You spent enormous sums of capital, millions and millions of dollars, to try and get the lawsuit dismissed. You went and hired the most powerful lawyer in the United States of America, Loretta Lynch, Queen of Law, Loretta Lynch, the former Attorney General of the United States of America. Not only is she beautiful, she's brilliant, and she is an amazing lawyer, and she couldn't even defend you in this $10 billion lawsuit that the judge has now said can go forward. How racist are you, McDonald's, that your great lawyers could not dismiss a $10 billion lawsuit? You know why? Because it's true. That's why. You have been sued by the Black franchisees, and you had to do a $33 million settlement with them because it was true for racial discrimination. You've been sued by your Black executives. You've been sued by the Black employees at the counter. You've been sued by the vendors. There isn't anybody who hasn't sued you, McDonald's. And what I say to the McDonald's board, first, I asked you to replace Chris Kaczynski, the chairman and CEO, whose personal compensation is $10.8 million, is personal compensation. All of Black-owned media takes in less than $10 million. All of it, probably less than 5. How is it that one white guy can make more money than all the Black-owned media takes in this country? That is racism. McDonald's, you're evil, you're wrong. And that's why you can't get rid of this $10 billion lawsuit. And when we get this in front of a jury, you're gonna wish you had settled. You're gonna wish, because you should have gotten to the table and you should have done the right thing. And you're not spending nearly enough with Black-owned media. You are evil. Number 2, so disappointing, Apple. Here we go again, evil tech. Apple, shame on you. When I talk to my Black colleagues and nothing's coming from Apple, evil. You are evil. What the hell is wrong with you? Nothing or very little? And wow, aren't we fortunate? Number 1, drum roll, number 1, the worst, in our humble opinion, most racist corporation in America as far as related to doing business with Black-owned media in the way of advertising is AT&T. Almost 1.8 billion in ad sales or ad buys, and Black-owned media gets very little. Very little. Not even 0.25%, not even 0.5%, not even 1%. AT&T, are you serious? So those are our top 10. We will release that to the press so they have it. Black-owned media is very clear. We have a staff that's doing a lot of research. We're tracking the ad dollars, who's leaning in and who's not. We will be reaching out to these chairmen, these CEOs, and these CMOs. This is unacceptable. What we see is horrendous. What we call that is economic genocide. That's what that is. Okay? So once again on Clorox, I want to correct, that was Pine Sol that they're using a Black woman to sell all of this stuff to. So also I wanted to, in conclusion, as we move into the program, I want to talk about the difficulties and how some corporations are playing games and they're trying to do all of this, run around and having people doing all kinds of stuff to try and get engaged with these agencies. So because of that, I have started BOMX, the Black-owned Media Exchange.com, BOMX.com. You can go there and you can register, and we're going to be a trading platform for Black-owned media that's certified and vetted and engaged in the community. Because there is some Black-owned media that we don't feel comfortable being a part of this, because some of them we don't even think are just good corporate citizens, in our humble opinion. So we are taking it to the next level. Black-owned media that is vetted, good corporate citizens, leaning in and a part of achieving what we believe to be is very important, One America. So you can go to BOMX and you can register who you are, register what your needs are, so we can match you with the proper platforms and we can get you the efficiencies you're looking for, and we can help provide the resources to Black-owned media to do all of the engagement that you need in the way of paperwork and information. BOMX.com. There will be a formal announcement made on that tomorrow. So all that to achieve One America. And what does One America look like to us? I call it the 5 E's. Number 1, make sure everybody has a great education. That's a very important E. Number 2, make sure everybody has equal justice. Number 3, make sure everybody has economic inclusion. Number 4, and this is very important as the owner of the Weather Channel, everybody has environmental protection. And number 5, empathy. Empathy. We have to make sure we're not continuing to ignore the food insecurity in this country. Millions of people go to bed hungry. Make sure we're not ignoring the homeless in this country, and make sure that we are not ignoring the folks who have mental illness, which is also a direct correlation with the homeless. We have to turn that empathy back, that button back on, and we need to protect and nurture and support and help these people. When we achieve these 5 E's, we will achieve One America. And when we achieve One America, we can achieve one planet by way of example. And if we can achieve One America and one planet, we can achieve heaven right here on earth. That is who we are. That is what I've dedicated my life to, building the world's biggest, greatest media company in pursuit of the 5 E's and One America, one planet, and heaven right here on earth. So with that, I'm going to take you off to one of my colleagues. I've had the good pleasure of knowing this gentleman for years, decades. He is an icon. As a matter of fact, next month, he's being inducted into the Broadcasting Hall of Fame, the Broadcasting Hall of Fame, Cable Hall of Fame, Television and Cable Hall of Fame. He was the head of distribution, cable distribution for BET. He is iconic. He's legendary. He started something called HBCU Go. And HBCU Go is a streaming platform. It's an extraordinary streaming platform. He speaks to the heart and soul of Black America. Because Black America, the HBCUs, the historical Black colleges and universities, 105 of them, it is the heart and soul of Black America. The alumni is so great. I mean, just to name a few, it's everybody from, Sam Jackson to Spike Lee to Oprah Winfrey to Martin Luther King Jr. to Vice President Kamala Harris, just to name a few, and there are thousands and thousands more. Most of Black America has a direct relationship or an indirect relationship with the HBCUs. And it is the great savior of Black America, because education is everything, the first E. And I'm very proud to say that he is a close colleague of mine. I went to him and told him I appreciate what you're doing. I think it's spectacular. And I asked to buy his company, and he was gracious enough to sell it to me. And I wanted to provide economic support for him because I was sick of watching him struggle because he wasn't getting the support he deserved from white America, which is what I said is the greatest trade deficit in America, the trade deficit between white corporate America and Black America. And he was gracious enough to say, let's do it. And we did it. And today we made a historic announcement this morning. We did a deal with SWAC, SWAC, and he'll talk about that with the HBCUs, the Southern Western Athletic Conference. And it is a historic deal because it's going to provide us over 2,000 sporting events out of the HBCUs, football, basketball, baseball, volleyball, all of the Olympic sports. Some of the greatest athletes come from these HBCUs, live at these HBCUs. Some of the coaches, Deion Sanders is now coaching at one of these HBCUs, and he just got the #1 draft pick to go to an HBCU and not a Pac-12 college. And this is now a league that will be produced and amplified like it has never been in its 150 plus year history. This is something that we're very proud of, this announcement. And this, Madison Avenue, is a huge opportunity for you to lean in and sponsor HBCU Go. HBCU Go. And some of the games will be on HBCU Go. Some of them will be on our digital platform, The Grio, Local Now, and Sports.tv. But now, if you really want to reach the core, the heart and soul of Black America, HBCU Go and sports. Because the one thing I will say about sports in America, sports is the true religion of America. Now, a lot of Americans may conveniently skip their place of worship on the weekends, but rarely do they miss their sports. And now we have invested enormous sums of capital to aggregate, curate, and produce the majority of the HBCU sports and putting it on multiple platforms for you to lean in and sponsor. And with that, I'll turn it over to my colleague, the iconic, legendary Curtis Simmons. Mr. Simmons.
Byron, thank you very much. And it's an honor and a pleasure to be part of this team. I can't tell you enough, having an opportunity to be with one icon back in my day with Bob Johnson. And I wish we would have started this years ago with the Black-owned media, because being with him for 14 years, everything Byron is talking about, we felt the inequality of sponsorships, the lack thereof of energy to support Black America, because of the fact that we had a name called Black Entertainment Television, and we were put in a box, and people constantly were saying, no one wants to watch Black entertainment television. And I think that we were on the early edge of beginning to start changing that curvature of the thinking that you out there today need to really buy into exactly what Byron's saying. Black owning media, Black owned media matters across the board. And you need to step up. Everything Byron is saying, I have felt very strongly. Number one is being a Black American and understanding the dilemmas of coming up and dealing with America. Number two, working for a media company before, where we were basically booted out of the door with ideas and said, to Byron's point, just put music videos on and be happy. Don't give us anything else, and we'll support you, and we'll do whatever it can. Well, that time has changed, and you need another leader like Byron Allen, who has stepped up through this whole company, and not only saying about Black America, we're talking about all of America, Mexican Americans, we're talking about Asians American, we're talking about Jewish American, we're talking about people who watch entertainment and programming. All we're asking for is a fair opportunity. That's all Allen Media is talking about, but he does make a good point that Black America has been bootstrapped for the longest. We have always been the ones that had to constantly try to pull your boots up, and that's really not fair to all of us who have put the time and energy into building what we've built over the years. My job today, along with my colleague, Carrington Simons, who's my VP of programming, is to really educate you today on HBCU Go TV. And HBCU Go TV, as Byron stands for Historical Black Colleges and Universities. And it was founded by myself and another colleague by the name of Clinton Evans. He couldn't be on the call today. There's health reasons. But the real reason was I really wanted to drive this network, and I'm thankful Byron took the energy to jump in with me, was that historical Black colleges do not get the same exposure as the PWIs. And what do I mean by that? And take Byron's point on sports alone. Now, we're going to do a little bit more than sports, and down the road, Byron's working on concept where we'll have a sports channel and then a lifestyle type channel off of this. But let's talk about the real reason. The drive behind Black colleges has always been Black college sports. And as Byron said, I challenge everyone to go to the NFL Hall of Fame. And if you look at the NFL Hall of Fame and look at the number of people who are Hall of Fame winners in the NFL, you will see HBCUs, former players, lead that category. Now, because of desegregation and all the other things, they were then beginning to now understand how to push the top athletes over to the PWIs. But if you took out, just for example, we look at the March Madness come out. Look at the team makeup there. Just look at it. Move that over to HBCUs. What's the difference? At the end of the day, exposure, exposure. So Allen Media plans to really get behind HBCU Go TV and the Griot, because we're going to be the one-stop shop to reach Black America underneath Allen Media. And we are going to provide you all the opportunity, as Byron made a point of, doing the right thing, because we want you to sponsor our events. Don't put us in a numbers game. Look at what we bring to the table, and that's entertainment, programming, opportunities. And listen to my word, opportunities, because now we open up the door that provides you that opportunity to do, as Byron said earlier, the right thing. And that's really critical as we move forward in today's America, because as he just outlined, you know, our 10 worst in looking at spending money in the African American community, you have to look at what we do. You have to understand, this is the big word that all of you need to understand, culture. When you look at culture today, that African American community drives it all, from entertainment to sports to clothing and all the right things that drive America. So you have to pay attention to us. When I look at all the commercials today and speaking to what Byron just talked about, it's amazing to look at how commercials have now changed to make sure and fit us in commercials, but you're not spending the money to the Black-owned media. That doesn't make sense to me at the end of the day. And it's back to Byron's point of really growing it. So I want to start off going into my presentation by giving you a little flavor. Bob, if you can hit that tape and let them see exactly, and I'll come back and start us off on our presentation, and then Carrington will jump in. So Bob, if you can hit the tape, please.
HBCU Go. Our voice, our culture. We're global trendsetters. We dominate and amplify everything we touch. We embrace and represent the voice of Black excellence every day of the year through an all-new platform that captures the rich history, diversity, perspectives, and cultural experiences at historically Black colleges and universities. HBCU Go targets Generation Z, millennials, and early adopters, the most sought-after demographic in America, creating content focusing on both higher learning students and alumni with an overall buying power of more than $1.5 trillion annually. We offer our viewers the best in live sports, original series, documentaries, films, comedy, and entertainment programming. Finally, a true destination to connect and empower the next generation of creators and highlight the achievements of our pioneers, whose shoulders upon which we all stand. HBCU Go is available on Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV, Local Now, The Griot Streaming, and Sports.tv. HBCU Go, our voice, our culture.
Carrington, can you bring the presentation up for us, please?
That was excellent. That was excellent.
So what I want to give you, I'm going to go through about 4 slides, and I'm going to let Carrington take over from here. But we want to give you HBCU Go. What are we? We're the voice, and as I said earlier, the culture. You can go to the next slide, Carrington. What is our mission? Our mission is to be cultural lifestyle destination, being the leading sports media producer for historical Black colleges and universities, relevant to the African American community and the multicultural community, because we want to be relevant. I mean, the key behind HBCU Go is be relevant, delivering messages that really pertain to our audience. And that's why we think we have the lifestyle destination that more and more of these young folks will be coming to, because they need to be educated on why HBCUs are standing universities to attend. Go ahead, Carrington. This is the message that Byron has been delivering to you time and time again, is the buying power of us is in the trillions. We watch more television than anybody that you can, and we're just a $300 billion loyal audience. If you are delivering things that pertain to us and you really, really mean what you say, you have an audience in this African American community. And it's one that you can't continue to overlook. And that's our message about Black-owned media matters. We are an area that you can no longer just overlook. And I applaud my boss in really being that guy and that company, and I'm second to none behind him, to really deliver this message that we are the company you need to pay a lot of attention to. Go to the next one, Carrington. This really talks about exactly where we're at. You know, our target audience is the 18 to 24 because we want to really get the students involved in the programming we're doing. And one of the things that we're doing, getting the students involved, is having the universities help us provide content to the network. We're going to the 105 communication departments, journalism departments, marketing departments, and having them work on creating programming for the network. But the buying power that we're looking at also comes out of the alumni, because the alumni 25 to 54 and older really, really are the driving dollars in the university. They are the ones that really give back. So we will have programming really associated in conjunction with what the alumni looks for. And then you look at the college-bound seniors. We hope to try to continue to work on building areas through HBCU Go, so when a senior comes out, they can be on the level they can find a great job coming out. And I think the main thing that you got to look at as an advertiser is it's urban sophisticated, is where HBCU and highly educated. That's the thing that totally gets overlooked in the HBCU survey. I have a lot of people of color even say, I can't go to a Black college. And as Byron said earlier about me, I am a PE major going into my third Hall of Fame in the business. And if I can do it as a PE major, coming out of Central State University out of Ohio, I know others can. And then when you look at our viewership, we're 70% men right now, 30% women, with an average income of about $75,000, which is not bad at the end of the day. Now, psychographic characteristics are really interesting, I think, because this is where we get overlooked as an African-American audience. I worked for ESPN for years, and I used to preach to ESPN. I was there at the beginning. And ESPN used to say, oh, you know, we're not targeted to the African-American community, until they did research and found out that African-Americans watch more sports than anybody. And that's when they started changing a lot of their programming around. So you know you have an enthusiast out there. We travel more. We communicate with all kinds of gadgets, as you know. And then we're social, we have more engagement than anything. And then the biggest thing is we take pride in ourselves. We take very, very big pride, as Byron was breaking down earlier about, you know, the things that we do within our community and other things. And then the other thing is we use the digital media daily for entertainment, news, and information. And now I'm going to turn it over. No, wait, one more slide, I'm sorry. And then here's our unique position that I think meets your needs. We are the advertiser solution, bottom line. When we're saying, you know, Black-owned media matters, we are that advertiser solution. Also, we are the focus. You know, we are the focus. You need that underserved and influenced group. You need us to be a part of what you're doing. And as I continue to watch networks and continue to watch spots, you're looking for that fresh new voice, and that's what HBCU Go TV brings to the table. And as the last one under our circle is, we have a great audience. We have a great audience. And if you were creating this compelling programming for HBCU, we are going to keep that audience growing. And that's really, really what you as an advertiser should be looking for at the end of the day. Now I'm going to turn it over to Carrington. I messed it up on the first one. That will talk about our programming moving forward and our strategy. Go ahead, Kay.
Everybody can see that. All right, cool. So yeah, once again, thank you for everybody's time. And I'm going to go a little deeper into the program strategy of HBCU Go. As Byron and Curtis have mentioned, we have 4 different categories, with sports being one of the main drivers. But what are we really trying to do with HBCU Go content? And we really put it into 4 different buckets. Our main goal is to really deliver the rich history, diversity, and perspectives of the African-American culture. And how do we do that? We do that through program-sponsored content, where this is where we're looking for advertisers and sponsors like yourselves to step up, producing quarterly sponsored content to drive media impressions based on network revenue goals, and primary focus with sports at 70%, and lifestyle and edutainment programming at 30. Of course, utilizing our archival content. We've done a great job with securing a bunch of content through the AMG library, but we're also looking to grow that. Then there's acquisitions. As you guys know, there's a bunch of different content from young African-American creators and other minority creators that we're looking to highlight. So how do we get, those amazing new talent that are doing content out there in the ecosystem to really have a seat at the table? And this is how we do it, by delivering those different kind of content and different stories to a global audience. And then the last one is the student content. And what we really look here is to be authentic. One thing that, is unique in the African-American culture is that, being authentic is what drives. And that's what really brings brands home. When you're talking about brands in our space, if you come with a play that doesn't naturally fit us, then it's hard to resonate. When you're authentic and you communicate directly to us because we are your consumers, that's when we decide to buy in. And that's driven a lot through our new influencers on the social platforms. And so the students will be a big play as we look at really building up new audience, establishing audience that's already there, and continuing to really hit hard on those alumni. The next one is sports. And I think Byron and Curtis have made, a very, good play on what sports means to us. I want to throw out a couple numbers for you all. 2021, after Black Lives Matter and George Floyd, there were 0 NFL players from an HBCU drafted. How is that even possible? When you think about the rich heritage of HBCUs, and when you look back into what the Hall of Fame really does look like, and how many HBCU athletes are part of the NFL Hall of Fame, in 2021, not one was drafted. This past Olympics, we had 5 schools. No, I'm sorry, take that back. 6 schools with Olympians that were part of the Tokyo game. 6 schools. 5 of those schools had track and field, with 1 being and 1 basketball. If you look at the current NBA, the NBA has 510 players, and there's 1 current active HBCU athlete. So what were we trying to say here? It's that sports are being underserved in the African-American community, especially in the HBCU community. How do we get more exposure? How do we get the talent to shift? How do we bring more audience? It's through sports. When you talk about some of the great schools like the Dukes in North Carolinas, a lot of these kids go to those schools, obviously for different degrees, but sports drives. And I think everybody on this understands what sports means to schools and what we're trying to do in the HBCU community by really hitting hard and highlighting different sports. It's not just about basketball. It's just not about football. We are looking to deliver on sports 365 days a year. And sports is made up of multitude of different things. I mean, you even have the Battle of the Bands, which is a very unique space that most schools don't have. We have dance competitions. We have different things like that that come out of the HBCU space. But how do we really drive home a different narrative? By giving more exposure to an underserved community, which is our sports. There are so many amazing athletes that don't get the limelight because they are not being seen, but can play just as good as any other players out there in the space. And we're seeing that now, especially in different tournament times. So what Byron and Curtis have made, the argument for is really, how do we bring more attention to it? And this is where you guys can lean in. It's really, really through sports. Another category, originals. What we're looking to do with originals is HBCUs, and as Byron mentioned, it's not just about attending an HBCU. It's about being part of the ecosystem. It's about being a part of Black excellence. And that's what we're really looking to drive home with our original content. We want to highlight the entertainment and edutainment network series. Our goal is to create compelling, relatable, authentic content from selected colleges and community and organizations that really highlight high-profile celebrities and key influencers. So we have different unique shows. For example, a show called Fresh Off the Yard, which is a highlight of current active HBCU students and alumni who are doing amazing things in the space, as well as other African Americans who may have not attended an HBCU, but are still a part of the community that are out here doing great things, but nobody knows about. The set, actually giving a voice from a music perspective to new talent out there, whether they come from an HBCU or they're just part of the African American culture and community. Color of STEM. You know, how bright are these young African Americans in the STEM space that are doing things with algorithms, bots, multicultural different things? Like, how amazing are they out there? And let's highlight them and profile them as much as possible. A show called Spade of Spades, talking about current topics that are affecting our culture and our community through a game that means so much to African Americans. The Spades game is a game that we all play at different events, right? And it brings a growth of different conversations and really bringing those to light. And then last but not least, and Byron touched on this, conversations of the minds. And what this particular show is really focused on is mental health in the African American community. It's not really talked about and most of the time shunned on. And we have a young gentleman by the name of Marcus Smith, who is a former NFL first-round draft pick, who will go on a journey with different African Americans and talk about mental health in our community and how it's been underserved and typically not talked about because it's expensive. It's hard to find resources and different things like that. Once again, really engulfing what the Black excellence means to us. The next bucket, and obviously COVID pending, but I think we're all coming back to, the regular new world, experiential, really diving back into those college experiences, right? How are we touching those students? Whether that's actually coming with the HBCU homecoming tour, or actually doing later tours in the spring. How are we driving back to get brands in front of the current students? Because we all know once you get in front of the students and they do like whatever the brand is, they will promote it, right? They're going to push it. And how do we get back to that natural feel of just being in front of them? So our goal is to really, really get back into there through homecomings to start off with, but to continue it 365 days of the year, right? Being in front of these students, elevating them, touching them, talking to them, hearing their voice. As we say all the time, it's our voice, our culture. And that's what we really look to drive. And then I just want to circle back real quick to kind of give a little bit of knowledge of when we talk about sports, what does sports mean? So just want to kind of give you kind of an ecosystem of sports for HBCUs. The sports is made up of really 4 different conferences. You have 2 that are D1, and that's the SWAC and the MEAC. And then you have 2 Division 2s, which is the CIAA and the SIAC. And then this last slide right here, and you all can kind of look through as I talk, is what is those conferences made up of in terms of schools? And we can share this obviously with you. But the main goal is that where we're positioned as HBCU go, we currently, as Byron and Curtis just mentioned, have a deal with the SWAC, and we have a current deal with the CIAA that we look to renew for this upcoming year. But once again, doubling down on what it means to really drive home exposure for our student athletes. And that student athlete exposure will lead into helping other students make it to their universities, bringing more dollars to the university so we can spend more with content license agreements, being able to get more ad dollars there so we can give the programs a little bit more dollars and the schools more dollars. It's all holistic and it all drives back. And our main goal is really, once again, to really highlight the Black excellence coming out of our African-American community through HBCUs. And I appreciate everybody taking their time to learn a little bit more about HBCU Go.
Thank you.
Byron, turn it over to you, Byron.
Thank you, Curtis. Thank you, Carrington. I really appreciate you. That was excellent. Once again, sponsorship, sponsorships. And listen, we're not happy with Nielsen. And there's going to be more on that very shortly. We're not happy with Nielsen. There's a lot to be done there. And so I just want to put that out there. And we have to get in here and grow these businesses. And I can't think of anything better than leaning in and sponsoring some of these African-American platforms, especially HBCU Go and the GRIO, and we have others you'll be hearing about and others you'll be hearing from. So we're going to stay on schedule here. I have great pleasure. This is a great pleasure for me to bring somebody who I have a great deal of respect for. She is truly amazing. She is an executive in our industry that has forgotten more than most people will ever know. She started the Africa Channel and she has a phenomenal platform. And I think the Africa Channel is something that is not getting enough support. Once again, I think this is another amazing opportunity to lean in and provide sponsorships, and also think in terms of just how this is the core, once again, the heart and soul of Black America, and it's an opportunity to think globally. And I think that what she has done here and what she has curated and aggregated is truly exceptional. Please welcome Paula Madison.
Thank you so much, Byron. It is a pleasure and an honor once again, my brother, to be with you and to be one of the recipients of your leadership and your courage in terms of how we are fighting the fight to fairly, justly represent Black folks. As you said, we're not talking BIPOC, we're not talking people of color, we're talking Black folks. And so as a company that is Black-owned media, I'm very grateful to you for giving the Africa Channel this opportunity. I'm going to talk a little bit about who we are, and then I'll hand it off to our Chief Operating Officer, Narendra Reddy, who will be more specific about some of our content. We are a Black-owned, minority-operated, and mission-driven company. We're the longest-running independent, minority-owned and operated U.S. media company presenting authentic, global Black narratives to audiences. We're Black-owned and operated, mission-driven. We have survived 17 long years. It's been a long haul to get here, but the way that we've done it, my family has really reinvested 100% of any earnings back into the company. So we've never taken any kind of profits because that's how committed we are to having the Africa Channel thrive and grow even more. We've been limited, as you mentioned, Byron, we've been limited because we have had no support from brands. So again, the concept, the notion, the necessity of sponsorship is really where we are completely aligned with you. We have three companies: the Africa Channel, TAC Studios, TAC being the acronym for the Africa Channel, and Demand Africa. We have one mission, and that is to bridge cultural gaps through entertainment. Next slide. The Africa Channel is necessary. As I said, we've been around 17 years, and we exist to address two major gaps in US media. The lack of representation and ownership of the narrative. Less than 1% of TV networks are Black-owned. Now, again, there may be some audience viewers who think that what they're watching is Black-owned, and what we know is that they're Black targeted. They're not Black-owned. Some of them have never been Black-owned. We also want to address the stereotypical and negative narratives, which amounts to, for example, 7 out of 700,000 hours of US TV, only 14% of those 700,000 hours mentions Africa in a positive manner. That was a media study done in 2019 by USC. So 700,000 hours of US TV, only 14% mentions of Africa were positive. I actually had years ago when I worked at NBC Universal and our parent company was GE, Jack Welch, the inimitable Jack Welch, told us, a collection of Black executives, that Africa was burdened with war and famine, and therefore there were really no business opportunities for GE in Africa. We convinced GE to let us make friends with governments in Africa and then make money. And after Jeff Immelt came in, he signed up with us. It took about 3 years when we had billions of dollars in the pipeline for GE and business in Africa, meaning that the impression of Africa that a lot of people in the West have is hands out, begging when we know that of the 54 nations in Africa, many of them are in good financial position and would be in much better financial position with more business with US companies. And why this matters. Black America is not a monolith. Black immigration is driving the growth of Black America. 21% of Black America is comprised of immigrants and their families. 1/5 of Black America is comprised of immigrants and their children. In 40 years, 1/3 of Black America will be foreign born. And if we include their children, that number expands to half. 50% of Black America will be foreign born or be the children of foreign born. Black America is increasingly global minded and embracing its heritage. Half of Black adults plan to travel to locations and landmarks associated with their ethnic and cultural heritage. 1.5 million Black Americans traveled to Ghana in 2019 during the year of return. My own family is descended from the Akan or Ashanti people of present-day Ghana, as more than 90% of Jamaicans are. My family hails from the island of Jamaica. More than 90% of Jamaicans are Akan or Ashanti, meaning that they hail from a warrior class in present-day Ghana. And on top of that, for me personally, when you look at me, I am African American, I am Black, I am Jamaican American, and I'm also Chinese American. How is that possible? Because the Chinese went into Jamaica, and I was most fortunate, as some of you know, to have found my Chinese grandfather's family in China after just a few months search. In 2012, my family met over 300 direct descendants of my grandfather. And for that, we, along with the Africa Channel, we created a documentary called Finding Samuel Lowe. I wrote a book called Finding Samuel Lowe. And right now we're in development with Amazon and Legendary Studios to create a TV series about that. And why is this important? It's important because we need to know, again, we are Black America. We're not monolithic. We come from everywhere. And yet what we want to make sure of is that we're telling the story of all of us, because all of our stories are authentic stories. We present global Black perspectives to shift the narrative and offset stereotypes. We amplify global Black perspectives, bridge cultural gaps, and deepen an authentic connection in Americans to the continent. What I'd like to do now is ask that we share our sizzle reel so you can get a sense of what we have on our air.
Connection, inclusion, loyalty, identity. Vital ingredients of an exclusive formula.
Hello, Minister. It's Pauletta.
Created to entertain.
I'm more than capable of doing my job, sir.
That's what I'm banking on.
Teach.
Dads are supposed to be there because I'm yours.
Inspire.
Our families have built this lodge to take care of the land.
Reflect.
I just gave you 15 seconds to see the real me.
Represent.
Head wraps have been a part of African culture for centuries.
When I say hip, you say hop. Hip, hop.
African culture is Black culture.
There's certain things that you absorb without realizing that you're absorbing them.
Black culture is America's culture.
We've inherited African wisdom, culture, spirituality.
The gap between each unserved and unseen.
We've still got our own communities. We've still got our own culture that we celebrate.
What you're really seeing is this new diasporic Black identity, and it's crossing borders.
We are the bridge.
I'm a travel blogger whose feet have touched the soil of 60 countries.
Built of unique voices.
So why are you single?
Don't be criticizing me like this, girl.
Okay, alrighty.
Original narratives.
My name is Abimbola Fernandez.
No one here acknowledges my title at all.
There are people who think that they know who I am, but they don't.
And history.
I feel like a queen right now.
so beautiful.
Connecting us to each other.
It's Africa, man.
So every man for himself.
Yeah, and I'm enjoying that.
The one thing I learned in China was Lily and I had a lot in common.
And to home.
I am honored to be the first African American to receive this citizenship, but I will assure you that I will not be the last.
Africa's yesterday and tomorrow. Today.
And now I'm going to hand it off to our COO, Narendra Reddy, who will tell you more about what we have on the Africa channel and our 2 other platforms. Narendra?
Thank you, Paula. Thank you for your introduction and comments. Building on what Paula was talking about, and as Byron had mentioned, he has sort of won his battle with the cable operators, and we're being part of the beneficiary of that exercise. 2 years ago, we were in 4 million households. Today, we're in 12 million households, and next week, we're going to be in 18.5 million households, thanks to our partnerships with Comcast, Charter, and Cox. Hopefully, that trend will continue because later this summer, I think we will potentially be in about 26 million households. All this to say that the cable operators finally see the power of the audience that we serve. And in order for them to be competitive in the changing face of distribution, they need to reach this audience. We also have our OTT platform that is relatively nascent, started 2 years ago with about 400,000 monthly unique viewers. We're already up to about 5 million plus monthly viewers on our own platforms, as well as on third-party platforms such as Pluto, Zumo, Roku, Samsung, and the rest. In addition, Demand Africa is a global platform available now in Canada, the UK, Brazil, and in Mexico, both in Portuguese and in Spanish. And our platforms are fueled by our production studio, TAC Studios, the Africa Channel Studios, which arguably is the world's largest importer of the best curated content produced on the continent from the major distributors of such content, such as BBC Africa, Canal Plus, MultiChoice, SABC, and so on. The opportunity that our studios also provides is original content, which will allow brands integration opportunity into the content for a longer connection to our audiences. About our audience, as Paula mentioned, it's a growing audience. Our principal core audience is the immigrant Black audience, which represents today 21% of the Black American audience, scheduled to grow in the next 3 decades to almost 50% of the Black American audience. This audience is older on our traditional platform, loyal, but much younger on our OTT platforms with a average median age around 33. We skew about 55% female and about 45% male. And the audience is definitively upscale, as represented by the over-indexing in home ownership, college education, and earning power. This audience has interests that are varied, very appealing to brands, from being family-focused with an interest in lifestyle, value shopping, and as well as financial investing. And brand categories that appeal to this audience include business tech, healthcare, travel, and financial. So I would like to say that our programming, that I could lead this conversation on programming by telling you that I have the next Empire or the next Insecure or the next Blackish, but we will get there once brands start paying us the attention we need. Instead, the argument I would make is that we deliver on a value content proposition. And that proposition is our programming collectively appeals and connects Black Americans to their heritage, with shows such as Worldwide Nate and Africa Everywhere. It establishes a strong bond between Black Americans and Africa. Our first-run programming, such as the upcoming show Steve McQueen's Small Axe, or the show that we have on our air currently, Lockdown with Tashina Arnold, present the best of African series, African diaspora series on our air. Our originals speak to the diaspora experiences, whether it's in the UK or the US. An upcoming show that we have coming up this summer, African Royale, follows the life of a Nigerian-American princess who is scheduled to inherit $1 billion from her father, and how she assimilates to being an African and an American living in Los Angeles. Our daily shows, specifically Espresso, our morning show, and our evening news show, BBC Africa's Focus on Africa, present current trends and news with a global perspective. All of our programming provides brands with sponsorship opportunities, and the key word is sponsorship, as Byron has mentioned, while we grow and scale to be able to provide brands the types of measurement that they're used to. We need to find alternate measures and of value, and we are very flexible in working with brands to demonstrate that value to their clients. Traditionally on air, there are opportunities for spots, billboards, sponsored promos, and the like that most people are familiar with. We have turnkey and flexible solutions that can work on integrating brands better and associating them better with our content. There are several sponsorship categories that brands can align with. Most recently, we worked with TurboTax around one of our financial series, Smart Money, that appeared very successful for them during tax filing season. And in addition, we can extend our traditional program sponsorships on the Africa channel to our FAST platforms on Demand Africa, whether it's on our own platforms or on third-party platforms such as Zumo and Pluto and the like. So the overall idea of creating original content through our tax studios gives an additional opportunity for brands to drive lift, loyalty, and impact with their audiences. Our daily show, Espresso, which I talked about a little earlier, is a wonderful opportunity for both in-studio and out-of-studio segments that can be customized for brands, that has a wonderfully dynamic cast that you see up on the screen as you and it's broadcast from Cape Town, South Africa, with the ability for us to develop segments all around the world. The on-air opportunities that we have, we are also able to expand to now, with the pandemic behind us, live events. We have a campaign called the Know Your Heritage campaign that usually starts during Black History Month, but continues for the rest of the year. The overall theme about that, as is evident in the title, is to connect Black Americans with their heritage. We have our first big live event coming up this year during Africa Day, May 25th through the 27th, AfriCon, which is a 3-day event that serves to be the nexus of African and American lifestyle, tech, and entertainment. And that provides additional opportunities for brands to gain visibility with our very core audience. So in a nutshell, we have all the opportunities available, whether it's on air, through our digital platforms, through campaign and events, and through our to allow brands to connect with our audience. And we hope that, as Byron has mentioned, that you will take a chance on companies like us, allow us to grow, because in summary, we're Black-owned and mission-driven. We have an upscale and aspirational audience that is growing. Our programming is original and unique and represents the growing tastes of Black Americans. And we're very flexible to the types of partnerships that we can develop with brands. Thank you for that.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you. I really think that was fantastic. And I really also believe this is another great opportunity to lean in in a big way, because you have this amazing platform. Right now, I want you to please take copious notes in terms of what you have in the way of Black-owned media exchange, what you have in the way of HBCU Go, what you have in the way of the Africa channel. And we're going to continue this with the ES networks. The ES networks is a portfolio of cable networks: Comedy.tv, Justice Central, Cars.tv, Recipe.tv, MyDestination.tv, Pets.tv, and ES.tv. These networks have been up and running over 10 years, and they are growing at a very rapid rate in terms of adding distribution. Some of them are in 40 million, 50 million, and more announcements on the way in terms of what we've been doing in the way of increasing the distribution. I really think these networks, what I call are targeted networks, focused networks, they're not niche, they're focused. People are passionate about comedy and cars and food and pets and travel. It really connects and resonates with them and with folks. And so I think this is a great place for you to also lean in and do sponsorships and really be organically integrated into this content. And I'll turn it over to Matt Gentile, who will share a great deal more with us about it.
Thanks so much, Byron. It really is an honor to be a part of this program today. Good afternoon, and thank you so much for your time today. We really think this is a really, really important cause for us.
I think you're going to have to get a little closer to the mic, Matt. Just get a little closer or speak up so they can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Is that better?
Much better. Thank you.
Yeah. So we can go back to that slide. Yeah. When I first met with Byron, around 6 years ago now, to talk about coming to work on his suite of 7 24-hour HD cable networks, I think they were in around 10, maybe 15 million homes each. And I remember specifically asking Byron, with all the cord cutting going on and cable network contracting, how are you going to grow these properties as an independent company? And I'll never forget Byron saying, "Trust me, I'll get it done." Well, here I am 6 years later, and ES cable networks are the fastest growing cable networks in the US these last few years. And that's when I learned an important lesson, that when Byron says he's going to get something done, he really doesn't stop until he does. And quite honestly, even that, he doesn't stop. So Byron decided to take all the amazing family-friendly content that he has created in first-run broadcast syndication over the last 30 years and give our viewers that crave it 7 cable networks that really speak to these passion points that Byron talked about. The past 2 years have seen explosive distribution growth for our cable properties, as our networks are the top 3 ad-supported networks for distribution growth year over year. In fact, our networks represent 3 of only 5 cable networks in all of television that have shown any distribution gains at all year over year. And this upward trajectory is not really going to end anytime soon, as we have deals in place and several in the works, which are going to take our networks to full distribution. So why don't we take a quick look at the ES cable networks.
Don't interrupt. You're getting yourself deeper in a hole.
Let's unpack that.
I can't hold it!
I feel like I'm Dr. Phil up in here.
Just make fun of the defender.
Leprosy is often referred to by what other name?
Cable for one.
This has a twin supercharger system. Very fast, from 0 to 60.
Hey, girl. This is my beautiful family. You're doing so well with you on this side.
And the smell coming around your kitchen is just going to be so good.
Oh, this will have you dancing in the kitchen.
No.
Yeah. Venice always captures my heart.
Rotterdam is known for some of the world's most unique buildings.
What is this?
So Justice Central takes our award-winning judges and gives them a 24/7 home for our court combo fans to come and be entertained. And we're really excited to announce that we will have over 780 new episodes this year, and are thrilled to announce the addition of We the People with Judge Lauren Lake to our already deep bench. Justice Central will enter the broadcast year in 58 million homes, and we look to surpass 60 million homes next year. You know, with Byron having his roots in stand-up and him starting this company 30 years ago with Comics Unleashed, Comedy.tv really is a perfect fit for us. Comedy.tv delivers the elusive male audience and brings viewers the world's funniest comedians with Funny You Should Ask, sitcoms, and hilarious movies. Comedy.tv will be approaching 50 million households this year, and it has its sights set on 60 million. Recipe.tv is the fastest growing cable network in all of television, as we have grown from just 15 million homes to 40 million homes in 2 short years, and we will cross 50 million homes in the upcoming year. Recipe.tv really is the perfect place to showcase your brands, and we offer up branded content solutions woven in organically to an extremely passionate audience. We look forward to all new original series, Baking at Ballyknockin', Katie Parler's Roman Kitchen, and The French Pub with Edward Delling Williams. My Destination connects viewers to luxurious hotels, amazing cuisine, and adventures across the world. As the travel category returns in earnest post-COVID, we really are the go-to destination for viewers seeking info for their next trip. Pets.tv celebrates our furry companions of every shape and size. Americans spent nearly $110 billion on their pets in 2021, and that number has doubled over the last decade and continues to trend up. Pets.tv is the perfect place to reach pet owners in an environment where they are seeking information. Cars.tv delivers everything for the avid auto enthusiasts. We take viewers to the latest auto shows and offer up a look under the hood of the latest models and redesigns. Cars.tv is the place to reach potential new car buyers, as well as to tap into the $400 billion automotive aftermarket. Last but not least, ES.tv gives our viewers a spot on the red carpet and behind the scenes of the biggest movies and the latest must-bin shows. Byron mentioned this is our second BOM Upfront. I truly want to thank those advertisers that we really leaned in across the entire Allen Media Group portfolio. But while we appreciate the support for any of our properties, we feel way too many advertisers took the path of least resistance and chose to lean in a big way with the Weather Channel. There really is no reason not to lean in a big way with all of our cable networks on sponsorships, as we make all of our networks a viable alternative for you and your clients at scale. This past year, Byron purchased 2 over-the-air networks in Light TV and This TV from MGM. Light TV, we immediately transitioned and rebranded to the Grio TV, which we'll tell you about tomorrow. But This TV is the original over-the-air network, as it has been around for nearly 13 years as the US transitioned from analog to digital television. And as cable networks outside of ours contract, OTA networks like This TV continue to thrive and grow as more and more consumers look to save money by cutting the cord. 1 out of 4 homes in the US are now cable-free, with that number expecting to rise to 50% over the next several years. Free over-the-air TV has proven to be extremely popular with multicultural audiences. According to the State of OTA 2021 study, 21% of Black and 33% of Latino and Asian cord cutters use an over-the-air antenna to access linear content. This represents an audience of over 11 million viewers that you can't choose to dismiss. This is the perfect time for advertisers to make the switch to over-the-air, as this audience is growing and offers up a DVR-proof environment, as 95% of OTA content is viewed live. This TV will enter fourth quarter in over 85% of the country, which would place it right on par with broad-based cable networks like USA, TBS, TNT, and Discovery. This TV offers up something for everyone with award-winning films, box office hits, and TV series. We reach a hybrid audience of both broadcast networks, including 8 ABC-owned and operated stations, as well as cable coverage. OTA networks are a big part of Allen Media Group strategy, as they offer our advertisers incremental reach and help us stay connected with cord cutters. In fact, look for the addition and acquisition of additional OTA networks in the future, as Byron has his sights set on it. And as I mentioned earlier, don't doubt Byron.
Is that it for you, Matt?
That's it, Byron.
Thank you very much. Matt Gentile. Matt Gentile, thank you. I really appreciate you, sir. Listen, these cable networks are fast growing, very fast growing. We've invested approximately $1 billion buying Big Four network affiliates a little over the last 2 years, ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox affiliates, and we're going to talk more about that tomorrow. And we have been able to not only grow our footprint as owners of Big Four network affiliates, we are now the largest portfolio of Big Four network affiliates that's not publicly traded or multi-generationally owned. So we're going to talk about opportunities there, as well as sponsorships and spot buys for you to go deeper into local advertising, as well as some of our other digital platforms. We're very proud of the fact that these cable networks have grown, and they're now sitting at over 50, 60 million homes and continue to go up. And there are more announcements to come in terms of large distribution deals for some of these cable networks. Once again, huge opportunity to lean in and provide sponsorships. Now, this TV is exceptional. This TV is the very first over-the-air broadcast network, this TV. We bought it from MGM, and it is something that is growing very rapidly. The ABC owned and operated stations immediately picked it up, and we're sitting on the ABC O&Os there. They're .2s, .3s, .4s, whatever it may be. We've invested enormous sums of capital. We bought 2 networks. One was this TV, the other one was a second one that we rebranded as the Grio, and we invested enormous sums of capital licensing top-tier movies from all of the studios, Disney, Paramount, Warner Brothers, Fox, Lionsgate, on and on and on, for both this TV and the Grio. They're doing very well. This is another great opportunity. Lean in, sponsorships, this TV and the Grio. So we think that, this is just the beginning, and these are just a few examples of how we can work together, how we can partner together to grow your brands, your businesses, and provide economic inclusion for Black-owned media. Now, I want to keep it going with, we're slightly ahead of schedule, which I'm very proud of. I want to introduce to you something that I grew up reading called Black Enterprise. Now, Mr. Graves started Black Enterprise, God bless his soul, and he's one of the very first iconic entrepreneurs out there, Black or white, that started something that was much needed. And this is a man who started a magazine over 50 years ago celebrating African-American excellence in business. Every year I look forward to who had the list of the biggest Black companies out there. Black Enterprise published it. This is Black excellence at its best. This is a magazine that has now repositioned itself as a major digital platform and does extremely well in the digital space. And quite often, week after week, the #1 digital platform for Black America, Black enterprise. This too is something that I believe has been seriously overlooked over the decades. And I think that this is something you want to pay close attention to. And once again, in my humble opinion, take full advantage of the opportunity of sponsorships. Black Enterprise, please welcome Kyle Ullman, the Senior Vice President, National Director, Multimedia Sales and Scholarships. Black Enterprise. Kyle, take it away.
Hey, well, good afternoon, Byron. Thank you very much for that introduction. And thank you to all of the presenters, the BOM Coalition, agencies and partners that have joined this call. Simply put, I mean, not even so much simply put, but very direct, as Byron said, Black Enterprise has existed over 50 years. We are celebrating our 52nd year. We started as a magazine, and as Byron noted, we have built ourselves into a very powerful, vibrant digital platform to go along with the events that we've been doing for over 28 years. Please note, at the 50-year anniversary of Black Enterprise, and just with the change of industry, we put an end, we had paused our print version of Black Enterprise, and really have taken all of our content online from a daily, weekly, monthly perspective. So with that, I'd like to get into obviously my presentation, and let me share my screen. And oh, there we go. So why does Black Enterprise exist? For Black Enterprise, we exist to inspire, empower, as well as, become a resource, a continuous, lifelong resource, creating your career path, building generational wealth, as well as living a healthier and happier lifestyle. As I noted, we've stopped our magazine, but everything we do is either online or it's been in person. With this pandemic, obviously we had put our events on pause, and we're proud that this year, and actually next week, we will be back in person with our Women of Power Summit, which is now 16 years and growing. And I would say we are here to reach. We touch our audience through, as I said, our events, our video platform, through podcast series, video series, through our content leaders, and of course, as I said, our weekly, daily, monthly content is online. As you can see here, over half our audience is between ages 25 and 54. Obviously, household income is at a premium. We actually do we have a lot of direct buys with agencies and our partners, but we also have a good slither of our business come through programmatic, which is also very healthy for us. We also have the ability, and from a gender perspective, as you see, we now skew heavily towards women, being 62% of that audience. One of the great accomplishments, as Byron has stated, is the fact that we are now, in our latest comp numbers, we're at over 12, almost 13 million uniques a month. And that is something I would say 2-3 years ago, we were only around 1 million, but we brought in a whole digital team along with our chief content officer, and they have totally revamped the way in which our content is delivered, as well as some of the partnerships that we have with other media outlets, which has allowed us to have this opportunity to be over 10 million unique. From a social impact standpoint, as you can see, we have over 700,000 Instagram followers. Our Facebook is very vibrant. The Twitter followers, everything we do, we're not only working on our site, but we also channel that content through our social platforms as well. So how do we help our clients disseminate their information and help with their objectives and initiatives? We do it through customized content, our interviews, podcasts, social series, as well as video broadcasting that we have online. Here are some of the, we not only do we do proprietary online content creation with our clients, but even our own editors and content leaders are providing weekly and monthly podcasts and video series. As you can see here, we even have our own CEO, Earl Butch Graves Jr., serve as a host of a podcast with Byron. I think that he's actually had an interview with you on there. Come from the corner office, and obviously that is speaking to CEOs and top executives on how they've been able to reshape their companies and lead their companies through this pandemic and coming out of the pandemic. Our new norm really speaks to a lot of small business owners and innovators. The Sisters really focuses on women-owned businesses, which is obviously one of the fastest growing segments in small business growth. Then we have Beyond the Hype with Alfred Edmond, another senior vice president, content creator, really allowing us to see, get between the hype and the reality of various industries, ranging from sports and entertainment. That's Lisa Gums, who is also the content leader of our Women of Power Summit, who actually, really speak to caregivers, pastors, social workers, really gets into a very diverse audience of influence and speak about what it is they're doing. But with all of these platforms, we have the ability to be customized with our clients, which we have, we interview who we speak to and some of the subject matter that we cover. Here, you can see just some of the sampling of past and current podcast series that we do with Chasing Success, Elevate Black, empathetic leaders that we've done with Lexus that continues to be a very profound segment for us. And Your Money, Your Life with Prudential, and even with Walmart, which is a little bit different, we were able to take content of theirs and put it onto our site. So, and then with Salesforce, this was kind of a recruiting tech sales podcast and webinar. Our event platform was, kind of the bedrock of Black enterprise. And once we had to put that on pause for the pandemic, allowed us to retool the digital platforms. But what we were able to do was still bring all of these events virtually as we paused for the pandemic. But now in 2022, as I mentioned earlier, we are coming back strong with our events. As I said, next week we actually are heading to Vegas for our Women of Power Summit. As some of you may or may not know, we actually have Michelle Yee, who will be one of our conversations that count and main speakers. We can't wait to hear from you, Michelle, this week. And followed by our Entrepreneur Summit, which will be in Philadelphia. Our Black Men Excel Summit, which is now 5 years strong. We see our Women of Power Tech, which is our newest event, which really is tackling, which you can almost say a lot of subject matter where there's a lack of diversity, but there's also a critical lack of diversity of women of color in the tech industry. And we are now in our 3rd year of Women of Power Tech. And here you have, as I mentioned, we have a slew of, while we are coming out of this pandemic, summit, our real estate investing, just to name a few, equity in the C-suite, the Sisters Inc. We're actually going to launch a career fair later this year. And as you can see here, we have a slew of town halls that we're going to be speaking about. I heard earlier about HBCUs. That's something that's very dear to us, as well as our founder was a graduate of an HBCU, Morgan State. So we also will be spending some focus and creating content around HBCUs. While we know that $2 trillion infrastructure bill is almost, if not dead on arrival, but we are going to tackle that conversation and keep that conversation alive and see how we can benefit and how the African American community can benefit if and what will come through within that. And obviously, you've seen over the years, we've actually gone backwards in Black CEOs. We want to tackle that conversation as well. So we have, as you can see here, a number of great conversations that we're going to be having in person as well as virtually all throughout the year. And then, of course, as I mentioned, our content is nonstop, daily, weekly, monthly, on blackenterprise.com, as well as all of our mobile channels, and also through a lot of our partners that we have as well. I want to keep that time frame and stay on key, Byron, and I will end it there and look forward to any continued conversation with agencies and partners who are participating. So with that, I thank you, and I thank everybody here who has presented and is going to present.
Well, first of all, Kyle, thank you. And I have to tell you, Black Enterprise is so much a part of who I am and my core. The inspiration that this magazine and Mr. Graves gave me it's just invaluable. It's just unmatched. That magazine, I know it's not a magazine anymore, it's digital.
Sure.
Just what it did to inspire me and to get me to look at myself differently and to show me as a Black child with a big afro. This is when I had an afro.
Yep.
And to see myself as a Black entrepreneur, as a Black business person, Black excellence at its best. I really, a lot of people, especially on white Madison Avenue, they don't understand the value of Black enterprise and how it speaks to our core and the love and trust that we have for Black enterprise. And we have enormous love and trust for Black enterprise. What are you, 51, 52 years old? How old are you?
52. We'll be crossing 52 in August.
In August. So in August. So Kyle, I am 60 years old. I am 60 years old. You've been on my coffee table since I was 8 years old. So how much?
It's been on my mom's and grandmother's coffee table since I was born.
Since you were born. Sorry, since you were born. So how much love and trust do I have for Black enterprise? You can't even begin to measure it, right? So
and we still want to thank you for gracing our stage as well a couple of years ago, before the pandemic, at our Entrepreneur Summit. So Butch sends his regards to you. And as I said, we're happy to get back in person this year.
Well, Butch, the son of Earl Graves, I consider Butch family. I cannot tell you how many times I've been talking to this guy at 1 and 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
So
he's shared some of your conversations as we have our sales meeting too. So we know you guys consistently chat about this dilemma and how we're going to solve it. It's going to be something that we solve.
Yeah, this was something that they burdened his father with. And burden many of our generations, our parents and our grandparents with. This ends with us. This will be fixed. And we are going to make sure this is corrected and this is handled properly. So I just really...
Just passing the torch from that Madison Avenue project.
Yes,
Mr.
exactly
Graves
right.
and Al Sharpton. And so
right.
It's just a continuation of that same mission.
That's exactly right. We're going to get it done. And we're going to make sure that, and that's understanding, having people understand the mission and the goal. And I'm convinced 98% want to be better and do better. And they're here to learn, and we're here to guide and to advise. And we're saying, and I just want to say to a number of the clients, do not listen to your agencies when they say, don't pledge a percentage. You will be ill-advised because you're the ones who will be spoken to about that. You need to commit and pledge a percentage of your budget to Black-owned media and be transparent about it and be a good partner. Be a good partner and lean in, break sweat, and correct the ills that have existed for centuries and do the right thing. We're here to help. We're here to help. You know, what I always say, especially Black people, they perfected it on women. The 4 Ds, they dismiss you, that first D. You speak up, you talk. Then when you speak up a little louder because you've been dismissed, they discredit you.
Yep.
And then they move on to that third D. They demonize them. They demonize
Always.
you. They demonize you. You're the bad guy. People are trying to demonize me. That's not going to work. I'm getting the feedback on what people are saying. People are giving it to me. And those people who are demonizing me and saying bad things, they're going to be held accountable. And if they say anything, and that way, when they demonize you, they want to be in check with their so-called Christian selves. They want to move on to that fourth and inevitable D, destroy you. They perfected it on women. Oh, she's a witch. She's a witch. Burn her at the stake. And then they moved it over to Black people. Dismiss, discredit, demonize, destroy. Did it to Martin Luther King, did it to Malcolm X, do it to everybody throughout history, and you're doing it to Black-owned media. And you're not going to dismiss us, and you're not going to discredit us, and you're not going to demonize us for asking for what is rightfully ours, a real partnership, because we do business with you in a way that you don't do business with us. And we need to close the greatest trade deficit in America, the trade deficit between white corporate America and Black America, because that is the cancer of America by excluding certain Americans. We have to achieve that one America, which is the reason Martin Luther King died for us. We have to achieve that goal. So definitely. I love who you represent. I appreciate you, and thank you for being here with us, okay?
I appreciate all you guys. Good afternoon.
Thank you. All righty. This is something that I am very passionate about. This month, 4 years ago, I bought the Weather Channel. And the Weather Channel, that was history. Why? That was the first mainstream news organization owned by an African American. It was not limited to Black targeted. It was for everybody, the world, because I'm not playing in the Negro leagues where I'm Black and I only do something that's Black for Black people, and that's okay. And you can do that. I'm in the global league, global leagues. So when you think about a mainstream news organization, you can count on your hands who owns them. CNN is owned at this point by AT&T. In a moment, it'll be a spinoff, and Warner Media and Discovery, and MSNBC is owned by Comcast, NBC Universal, and Fox is owned by News Corp. And the Weather Channel, the most trusted news brand in America, voted 12 consecutive years, the most trusted news brand in America, 12 consecutive years, and the 5th most trusted brand overall. That was history. That was American history and Black history. That for the very first time, a mainstream news operation was 100% owned and purchased by myself, a Black person. So that's a big positive for our country. Now, one of the things that I did not like was that I didn't like when I bought the Weather Channel 4 years ago, and I looked around, and my mentor, Al Massini, who created Entertainment Tonight and Star Search and Lifestyles of Rich and Famous and Solid Gold. And I met him when I was 19 in January of 1981 at the New York Hilton. And he became like a second father to me, and I became like the child he never had. You know, he got married 4 times with no kids, and he became an exceptional human being in my life. And I could talk to him about anything, and I talked to him about anything and everything. And he made me feel validated in my thinking and my feelings and what I was seeing and what I was witnessing. And he was just a great human being. And he was like, yeah, you're right. Now what you gonna do about it? Yeah, you're right. Go ahead. Yeah, you're right. This is a good guy. This is a bad guy. And he was that guy. That's why he was so exceptional at what he did. He changed the face of TV. And he taught me so much. And he always said, figure out what's not there and put it there. That was one of the things, one of the many, many, many things he taught me. Figure out what's not there and put it there. You watch TV and you don't see it, put it there. If there's something you want to see on television, create it and put it there. Make the world what you want it to be. It is a blank canvas. It's your masterpiece. Make your masterpiece. I was so fortunate to have him in my life, the great Al Massini. And when I met him in January of '81, I watched him sell to all these general managers this television show idea. And I remember in January of 81, he said, we're going to put it on the air in September. And they said, what's the name of the show, Al? And Al Massini looked at them and he said, I created the show and the name of it is called Entertainment Tonight. And it went on the air that September. Now, one of the things that really bothered me was that, I realized that the Weather Channel is an essential platform. It's a technology platform. It has over 3,500 proprietary star boxes hooked up at every cable head end that allows us to tell you your weather, your temperature in your zip code. No other cable network or platform has that capability. We are telling you what's happening in real time in your zip code, super hyper local. And I didn't like the fact that in Puerto Rico, when we have these weather issues, that in my opinion, there wasn't just enough coverage of it. It was show up for the disaster, but not the rebuild. There wasn't enough infrastructure to help address it and to prepare for it. So one of the very first things I'd said was, we're going to build, just like the Weather Channel in English, we're going to build the very best 24-hour Spanish language weather channel in Spanish. Okay, we're going to build this. We're going to make it the best. And we're going to make sure that language is not a barrier for having life-saving information. Weather is life-saving information. It's how you protect yourself, your loved ones, your worldly possessions. And we're going to make this the very best using the full weight and resources of the Weather Channel. I am happy to announce we are launching the Weather Channel in Espanol in less than 60 days, May 2nd. May 2nd, on the 40th anniversary of the Weather Channel. On the 40th. First, I was going to do it on my mom's birthday or my daughter's birthday, which is in early April. And I said, you know what? Obviously, I love my mom and my daughter more than anything, but let's make it May 2nd, the 40th anniversary of the Weather Channel. That's what we're celebrating, the very, very best. And now we have the Weather Channel in Espanol. And I'm so happy with the leadership of Nora Zimmett. She's one of those super smart, passionate news producers and executives. Went to Harvard. She's been out in the war zone, been at CNN, you name it, working and brought to my attention Susie Ruiz. And Susie Ruiz is amazing. She's amazing. I'm about people. We employ about 2,000 people, 2,000 people. And in this global pandemic, we didn't lay off one person, zero. We employed 2,000 people. We laid off this. I am people before profits. People before profits. I started this company from my dining room table. I'm about people. People. And when she brought me Susie, I was like, okay, that's my kind of people right there. Because she's exceptional. She's excellent. She's a brilliant, brilliant leader. And she's leading the charge on the Weather Channel in Espanol. And I'm so proud to introduce you to Susie Ruiz. Susie, please take it.
Thank you, Byron. Thank you. And I'm very honored to be part of this great team and to be part of this wonderful project. When I joined last year, I took the role with a lot of respect and humility because I knew this was going to be a role to change how our community prepares for severe weather, to change how our community learns about climate change. But before we actually go on with this, before we go into the weeds, I want to show you part of our rehearsals where you will see our severe weather coverage. You will see forecast. You will see a snippet of our immersed reality, which we already have done a piece in part of our practices, in part of our climate change coverage, in a snippet of our newsroom, how it looks. So Bob, can you help me with a video?
¿Qué tal, amigos? Bienvenidos a The Weather Channel en español, tu conexión con el tiempo. Les saluda su meteorólogo Henry Gola y vamos de inmediato a un panorama general a nivel nacional. Sabemos de Miles que se va alejando, también la influencia de una gigantesca alta presión en el centro de los Estados Unidos, trayendo condiciones primero estables, pero también la filtración de masa aire fría se ha sentido. Allá nuestros hermanos, por ejemplo, de Texas, han tenido temperaturas al amanecer bastante frías. Vamos de inmediato a observar algo bastante interesante, porque el ingreso de esa masa aire fría se ha dado de forma bastante evidente y bastante contundente, pero sin embargo es momentáneo, así que nuestros amigos que quieren viajar realmente hacia la parte de Texas, sepa usted de que el lunes, por ejemplo, las temperaturas estarían en los 80, a diferencia de estos días, pero también será momentáneo porque viene un descenso a mediados de la próxima semana donde veremos un ingreso de masa aire ártica, inclusive en Dallas, en Houston. Así que si usted piensa viajar hacia el noreste, hablando también a nivel nacional, sabemos de que las condiciones, a pesar de que Miles se va alejando, todavía el tiempo...
Well, as you saw there, our vision, mission, and values are the same as the Weather Channel, which is to protect and save lives. We embrace all of that to provide the Hispanic audience in the United States, in Latin America, with timely and accurate weather information and climate information, but all of it in Spanish and all of it focused in the Hispanic audience that appeals to the culture, appeals to the language, but listen to this, to the needs. Because yes, we can always appeal to culture and language, but we also got to know the needs of our culture. And we're going to talk about that in a second, more in depth. We also are focused on informing and entertaining, but through accurate and timely information that is based on science, because we have all the experts here in-house. And of course, saving lives by influencing and promoting awareness and participation so that our audience can make informed decisions. But of course, I have to go back to what Byron says, we are making history. And history is because I'm going to take you right now to our current, so we can talk to the future. Currently, what you can find is that traditional media shows 1 minute, 2 minutes of weather out there when it's happening. And if there's a major event going on within a 30-minute window, you'll get 3 minutes and pray that you don't have a soccer game or something else going on, because then you'll get a picture-in-picture and you'll be lucky if you can get that kind of coverage. Then if we have a major event, you will have some major coverage, but then afterwards, not prior to. And there's where we're going to make the big change. Then we're going to have a 24-hour streaming network that is 100% in Spanish prior, during, and after the events. And so that means that we're going to expand that ability to reach an important and underserved audience that has been there for many years waiting for this, but now is going to have it 24/7. And of course, delivering excellence in coverage through our talent, who are knowledgeable in the culture and the language too. And of course, you see here that we are already growing our distribution. You will see us on YouTube TV already. And these are some of the partners that we already have and we are working with. And yet you're gonna see even more in the future. We are going to be launching in a very special day, which is the 40th anniversary of the Weather Channel. And so for us, it's going to be very significant as well. And why is this significant? Because it's going to be an opportunity for 60.6 million Hispanics in the United States. What does that mean? It means that it's an opportunity for us to serve our community, Hispanic community in the United States, but also for advertisers to reach to this specific segment. So keep an eye on that number because it's huge and it's projected to even get bigger. And then believe it or not, while we are such a big number in the US, we are vulnerable to weather and we don't get the information that we need on a daily basis, the way we're supposed to get it, because of different reasons, because of language barriers, because of not having the information on time, or not having the information we should have, because of the different levels of income and socioeconomic environments that we live in, and sometimes because of not knowing what severe weather is. So the concept that we have of severe weather in our countries is different, probably that we have what we have and experience here in the United States. So we are not aware of what a severe weather storm might be, a tornado or a hurricane or, you know, a flood for that instance. And at the same time, we don't know sometimes what kind of emergency services are there. And sometimes because of the different myth and the lack of information, we mix information of government, you know, things like that have to do with immigration with emergency services, and we tend not to ask for the services when the services are actually available. So all these barriers are there, but how do we break them? How do we get there? How do we connect? Well, we connect by establishing that cultural connection, that cultural link. And values matter. Values will impact consumption. And so if we understand the dynamics in families, in traditions, then we can go in there, we can provide this type of information to our families in our households. And then of course, language is central. And yes, you will have Spanish dominance, people that only speak Spanish in the households. You will have people who are bilingual and speak both languages, and you have people in the same household who speak English. So you will have the three of them. But the very interesting thing that happens within that household is that we are going to influence each other. And I'll give you an example. If my mom says we're going to watch this, guess what? That's what we're going to watch. If the younger one is going to say, we're going to, you know, I want to watch this and let's all watch it in a family. And if there's a consensus, we're probably going to sit down and all watch together. So same thing with weather, right? So if there's something that is important to the family that is going to somehow impact the family, we want to make sure we take that information and that is relevant to that family component there. So another thing that is very important is that we stay connected not only with our immediate families, but also with our families abroad, meaning with our families in our countries of origin. And that's why you will see that, for example, when we move to the United States, we tend to stay together. So we move close to our neighbors or our tias, our aunts, or our abuelitas, and we all live together, close to each other. And you will see, for example, that if you're Hispanic, and you live in Florida, for example, you might be Venezuelan or Cuban and you stay connected with people from Cuba. Or if you are from New York and you might be Dominican or you might be Puerto Rican, you might be connected with people from the Dominican Republic or Puerto Rico or Texas. If depending on where you are from or you live, if you're in Dallas, Houston, or Austin, you might be connected with somebody within Mexico. And that happens, the same thing happens in Chicago, Los Angeles, and the different DMAs that we have around the country. So that is something that we have. And why is that connection? Because we have extended families, because we support them economically over there, because we have economic interest abroad in the different areas. And that's why we go back and forth. We have frequent returns. And whatever happens in these other countries, economically, socially, it matters to us because we have our extended families over there. And of course, there's always going to be these emotional connections. Hispanics, we are very emotional. And so for that, you know, it's very important that whatever content we deliver has that component in there. And then because we are emotional and we like to stay connected, we are very techy and we try to stay on top of technology. So to give you an example, social media is very important in a Hispanic household. So 80% use at least one social media site. 85% of Hispanics have at least a smartphone. And so what is the Weather Channel going to do? We are going to provide localized information and national information, but we're going to make sure we provide all the information. That's why we created our social media, Conexión con el Tiempo. If you haven't joined us, please look for us. We are in Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And I'm going to roll this very quick from here. Yeah, because we are your link with weather. And that's what it means. So when you go to our social media, that's what you find. And I just wanted to show you these couple of numbers here. This is a social media that we launched 2.5 months ago to start testing and start seeing where we headed. And just in the last month, we are reaching an average of 20,088 people. And this is just an increase of 33% in the last month. And I had to change this slide like 3 times in the last 2 weeks because it keeps on going up and up and up. And so that shows you the potential we have. And this is, I have to enhance that this is without being on air. That's not being on air and without any paid advertisement, nothing. This is organic, just zero, just putting it out there, word of mouth, just providing what people need. And I didn't even share the comments from people saying, thank you, we love this. Thank you for providing this. What's going to happen here? What's going to happen there? They're already asking questions. So please follow us because this is very, very important for us to actually give the right information to people over there. And before I leave, bring this there. Before I leave, I want to leave you with this thought. So just as we grew in population, in 10 years, we grew 25%. Well, so did the Latino buying power, which is projected to be $2.6 trillion in the next 3 years. So with that in mind, go out there, tell our audience, tell our communities that we are going to be out there providing them information, handy information that they can use, that they can actually share with their children with their family, and tell our advertisers too, that we are there. We have a community that, ready to learn, watch, and spend. So thank you.
No, Susie, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for joining our family. And thank you for being a part of our family and such an amazing team leader. I love looking at those numbers. Look at that growth with not even being on the air yet until May 2nd and promoting. I am so proud of you and I appreciate you more than you will ever know. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Here is just another phenomenal opportunity. Listen up, White Madison Avenue, White Madison Avenue, White Madison Avenue. I need your attention. Please, 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 please lean in on the sponsorships. This is another asset that you should be all over. I am personally deficit financing the Weather Channel in Espanol to the tune of millions and millions of dollars. I'm doing it because it's important. I'm doing it because it's long overdue. I'm doing it because it's much needed, but I shouldn't have to do it. We need your support. We need you to lean in and sponsor this and grow this and invest in this so we can promote this and tell everybody about this. This is literally life-saving information. I am taken back by the advertisers that we've told about this, the Weather Channel in Espanol, and they didn't allocate 1 penny to this. I swear to you, as God is my witness, that is completely unacceptable and it's wrong, it's evil. You need to lean in on this. And I need to share with the world who's on the right side of history and who's on the wrong side of history. You need to support the Weather Channel in Espanol. Please be on the right side of history. Sponsor, lean in, please. It's important. I should not have to deficit finance this. We have way too much in the way of human and resources to do this the right way, to produce it. You've got the very, very best producing it. Susie, with all of our resources at the Weather Channel and our campus. And now we need to tell the world and promote it. Please be on the right side of history on this. Thank you. I really, I'm so passionate about this. This is something that I'm very proud of. This is something I'm happy to be a part of my legacy, that we launched this on the 40th anniversary of the Weather Channel. It's a marker of where we've been and how far we've come. This is our America. This is what we look like. Beautiful. Diversity, inclusiveness. This is important. We have to make this work. All righty. Thank you, Susie. You're the best. I really appreciate you. Thank you. I'm excited. I can't wait. And so big launch, May 2nd. May 2nd. I love it. Thank you. I'm very, it puts us, That puts a smile on my face. I'm gonna tell you right now, that makes me happy. So, all righty. Another one of my big passion projects, the environment. The environment is climate change and global warming is the greatest threat to human beings on planet Earth. It will kill more people. Let me say it again. It will kill more people. It will kill more people than all the wars put together, many times over. People are starting to connect the dots. Climate change, global warming, what does it mean? It means extreme everything frequently. Extreme, frequently. Extreme cold, extreme hot, extreme wet, all the time, frequently, bigger and bigger than the year before, taking out many, many lives and lots of damage. It's impacting everybody. And I do mean everybody. And you're going to see a lot more destruction. People are starting to get a little sense of climate change and global warming. New Yorkers are, Hurricane Ida. The Weather Channel was the #1 cable network in America during Hurricane Ida. Nobody was watching anything except the Weather Channel. And New Yorkers were watching cars go down the middle of Manhattan like a boat. And guess what? You're going to see more weather events like that far more frequently. We are in trouble. We're on a pathway to total global destruction. And in many ways, we have been blessed that we haven't had worse events land in bigger cities, sparing more lives and property. Everything's going to go up in the way of cost. People are starting to see it. I have a friend who's very well off, paid cash for a very expensive home, had no mortgage. He can't even afford the fire insurance and premiums. He said the fire insurance was negligible, but some homeless people and climate change and how dry it was, they were made a fire to try and stay warmer, ended up setting off the Bel Air fires, and now his fire insurance is $500,000 a year. $500,000 a year was so small, the bill, he didn't even know what it was. People can't afford insurance. Insurance companies are passing on greater costs. A lot of things are happening. We're triggering more environmental issues where animals and species are moving out of their natural habitation and they're moving closer to the human food chain. And we're sharing food with animals and species that we're not used to sharing food with, and that's triggering viruses and epidemics and pandemics. We have to understand this is the greatest threat to human beings on planet Earth. As we melt this ice, there are over 200 million viruses on this planet that do not have a name. And as we melt the ice around the world, we're releasing viruses into the ecosystem that we may not be able to cohabitate with in terms of sharing the planet with. These viruses may come in and take out every living thing. We don't know. We're in a bad place. So what did we do? We created pattern. We created pattern, and we're emphasizing more at the Weather Channel, this conversation, this narrative, and we're helping to protect and save lives. And I'm going to turn it over to Barbara Beckendahl, who is the president of ad sales for the Weather Channel. Barbara, please take it away and share with the good folks what we're doing and what we have to offer and how everybody can break sweat and lean in.
Great. Thank you, Byron, and good afternoon, everyone. I am very excited to share some updates on the Weather Channel, talk to you a bit about our plans for the new Weather Channel Plus launch, and as Byron just mentioned, Pattern, which is our multi-platform channel focused on climate, sustainability, and environment. But I'm also really grateful to share my passion for these premium properties and represent them all to you guys today so that you can deliver on your pledges to Black-owned media. And thanks to the many advertisers who did lean in over this past season. And we look forward to working with you again and growing your investments, as well as bringing new folks onto our portfolio. Oh, okay. Okay, I gotta, I guess, escape. So that presentation mode doesn't work? Okay. All right, is that good? Okay, so I think I have both two open, so I'm gonna, yeah. Okay. Slideshow. Okay, now do you see it? I'll start all over. Sorry.
We're having technical difficulties. Please bear with us. We are moving through it. Do apologize. We were going so smoothly up until this, and we have one more
Yeah,
after
can
this.
we just use the backup plan, please?
Go for it.
Yes, pulling it up.
Thank you, Melissa.
So sorry, all you people. The first tech difficulty of the day, so I'll take that honor.
We still appreciate you, Barbara. Go ahead and let these good folks know what you have for them.
All right, so I will get started on the first point about the Weather Channel, which is the Weather Channel has built a relationship of trust with its viewers for nearly 40 years. And what is that trust based on? First and foremost, it's based upon accurate forecasting, presenting to its viewers, our viewers every single day, the forecast and how that can relate to all sorts of things. What's the best time to walk your dog? When is it, what should you dress your kids in for school? How can you plan your business trip? This is not my pitch. It's the weather group one. I don't need slides, I can do this. So, and just really important information about, even if you're a construction worker or a farmer, the weather impacts what you do at your work that day. And then really the key for next level trust is during severe weather. And here's where we provide life-saving information to our viewers, preparing them with safety tips, all sorts of information during a storm and then after a storm on resources. And you saw in Susie's presentation how vital that is for all Americans. So as Byron mentioned, for 12 years running, we have been the #1 news brand in America per the Harris poll, and the #5 trusted brand in America per Morning Consult. So very proud of that. And if you could just run right now to slide 3. That trust is really solidified by the talent of the 30 meteorologists, both in front of the camera and behind the camera at the Weather Channel. These people are passionate, they're scientists. They talk about the weather. They love to explain the science behind the weather. They love to explain how the weather is relevant to all of those lifestyle interests, health and wellness, travel, the great outdoors. And for many, many years, they've been a reliable source on climate, the changing environment, and solutions. So we're really proud of the people behind the Weather Channel, and that's what has really solidified this incredible success. So we have, next slide, we have a lot new coming to the channel this year. Pattern, which I'm going to touch on in a few minutes, and Byron has already spoken of, will be receiving a new show on the Weather Channel, a 2-hour block each day. We also have a show called Fast Home Makeover. And Fast Home Makeover is a series that we've been clamoring to do for years, where we go to communities that have been impacted by severe weather, and we go and we rebuild a home start to finish. building back better with more sustainable kind of construction, as well as preparing for whatever the weather that may happen in that particular region. And this is starring Cody Walker, who is the brother of Paul Walker, thus the title Fast, because Fast and Furious is in the blood here. And then last, as Byron mentioned, we're celebrating our 40th birthday. And with that birthday, we will be doing a lot of looking back on the biggest storms in the history of the Weather Channel, some of those great memories. But next slide, we'll also be looking forward. And how does the Weather Channel keep evolving? Well, first, we evolve because we are always at the forefront of innovation. Our weather reporting technology is second to none, and our weather storytelling has won Emmys. We use immersive mixed reality to actually create weather conditions inside the studio environment. An incredible technology that we've deployed for all sorts of reasons, weather storytelling, as well as working with some of our sponsors. And then last, growth. Growth is key to our success. And we are happy to announce that we will be on YouTube TV this April, and that we're working with other virtual MVPDs to grow our network. And next slide, another way we're growing is that we are launching Weather Channel Plus. So as part of Byron's investment in streaming, and you'll hear from some of these other properties tomorrow, but as part of that investment, we really are trying to be available on every platform. So our current viewers who perhaps subscribe to cable will be able to see us on their smartphone or wherever, but we're also reaching out to cord cutters with an opportunity to subscribe to the Weather Channel. And coming soon beyond this launch, we'll also offer really cool weather experiences on the Weather Channel Plus app. So next slide. So next, first I wanted to just point out that we are open for business for sponsorships. So we have an incredible track record of partnering with so many brands. It would fill the entire slide if we were to talk about all of them. But the companies that come to us, we look for that connection with weather. We make that connection powerful, and we make magic. So I would love for anyone to reach out to me, and we can talk about sponsorships for 2022 and 2023. So now we'll roll a quick video, and then I'll talk to you briefly about Pattern. It was the next slide.
Are we going to get this slide? Okay, so we're going to skip the video.
All righty. So we can use that tomorrow, Byron, to kick off day 2. All righty, so let me move onward to Pattern. So born from the Weather Channel, Pattern is focused on climate sustainability and environment. And it's a content platform. The purpose is to educate and inform, provide solutions, and showcase champions of the environment. So it's very much a topical and relevant subject in today's culture and our society. If you can turn to the next slide. We are very much, hearing and, the aptitude for this is proven by stats. So we are happy to be, have created Pattern, which exists across social media, the Weather Channel, a dedicated fast channel, a newsletter, and a website. So in all of these different places, you can see Pattern and really understand from the Weather Channel's perspective about the truth and relevancy of climate change. Next slide. So this just gives you, again, a description of where Pattern lives. When it's on social media, you'll find it on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. The FAST channel is available on Local Now, as well as Plex and many other streaming platforms. We have the website, the newsletter, and again, very happy to announce that it will have a 2-hour block on the Weather Channel coming in April. Next slide. So the content that you see falls into several buckets: environmental news, Earth Champions, living sustainably, and again, educating and engaging, mostly with short form content. So it's really is captivating and it's serving a greater purpose. If you go to the next slide, we also have, and now this video runs. You can skip this. And then coming to Pattern this year, our new series, Growing Solutions, which talks about innovation in the agricultural landscape. We have an original film contest that garnered a lot of entrants last year, and we hope to build on that. We have an investigative series hosted by Weather Channel's Dave Malkoff. And then Building Solutions is really a continuation of a series that we had this year, really talking about innovations. And how does this all come together for our partners? So we really do look to form partnerships with relevant and appropriate brands in this space. And we will, incorporate a company's initiatives. We will align with content that makes sense. This is a great example with Toyota, where they wanted to talk about their electric vehicles, and Pattern was more than happy to talk about the innovation in the automotive space. So let me know if you'd like to talk about Pattern. And that's it for me, Byron.
Well, thank you very much. I do appreciate it, Barbara. Much appreciated. Listen, the Weather Channel is something that we're very proud of. The ratings are key here in that folks are tuning in because they are seeing the impact of climate change and global warming and how it is really threatening everything we know and love. I think that there's a huge opportunity here to lean in, sponsorships. And also when you think about sponsorships for all of these Black-owned media platforms, I would also say multi-year sponsorships. Multi-year, put it in your business plans. We're doing some sponsorships that are going out 3 years, 5 years. Some folks have offered 10 years in the way of sponsorships. And we're going to talk about some of the folks tomorrow that we feel that have gotten it right. They did lean in. That third category, they went the extra mile. And sponsorships are key, and multi-year sponsorships. So thank you. I think we have a huge opportunity there with the Weather Channel in Espanol, with Pattern, and also the celebration of our 40th anniversary, 40 years of excellence in reporting life-saving information. So let's all work together. Let's lean in. Now, we're going to wrap it up with also another iconic brand that has been around for many, many decades. I'm talking probably 8 decades, 80 years, 75 plus years. And this is something that I think is also warrants enormous support, enormous sponsorships, multi-year sponsorships, just because of what the brand means and how it is also the heart and soul of Black America. And I think that you have a big opportunity here. It is a true American treasure, ebony. ebony.com. And I will turn it over to Michelle, and Michelle will let you know all the wonderful opportunities. And thank you, Michelle, for joining us.
Thank you so much. And I just want to say, Barbara, great recovery. This is not easy, even virtually, and shit happens. So great recovery on that. If you could please play my video, you have control of that. And then I have control over my own deck, please.
All my people gon' rise. When they go low, we go high. I hear the cries on both sides. Bridge the gap, we gon' try. We can't stop this all time. We got power inside. We belong to the sky. So I hit the road and gone rogue. Tell me if you're ready to go, cause we're rising up. Down, down. We're so high, we're our feet on top of the clouds.
We don't have to check our culture at the door. You don't, and you don't, and you don't, and you don't.
We're rising up. Down, down. We're so high, we're our feet on top of the clouds. So let's go together now. Stand as one, shaking the ground, and it's all of us. Going straight to the sun. We're rising up. I'm so high, I can touch the sky. I can touch the sky. I can touch the sky.
Excellent. I want to make sure you guys can see my slides. Can you confirm that, please? Thank you very much, Byron. Thank you for this opportunity to be here. And thank you for pulling Black media together. And thank you for holding the marketplace accountable. I am Michelle G. I am proud to say I am the CEO of Ebony and Jet. Listen, we are a family-friendly brand that's committing to moving Black forward. Everything that we do, every conversation we have, while educating, we're entertaining, we're elevating the Black community and all of those that love Black culture. I want you to think about and remember three things. My assignment today is not difficult. Community, content, data and technology, and innovation. Those three things. So let me just first say we are 100% Black female owned. Not a lot of media companies can say that. Write that down, mark that off. I'm going to check a whole bunch of boxes for you today. Our owner, Eden Bridgman, is a Black woman. I am part owner of this company. We are proud to say that there are not many of us. So let's talk about some wins that we've had this year that I'm really excited about. We bought this company out of bankruptcy, the Bridgman family, last January. We've had 13 months to really do a lot of things. So we've grown our folks that come, our fans, we call them, to 50 million folks per month, 5 million engaged fans, 10 million page views, 9.8 million monthly page views. I'm trying to make it easy for you to buy us. This should make it a whole lot easier. And let me talk about some of the amazing things that we've done. We've put up some amazing covers. That's what we're known for, our kind of covers. Let me talk to you about this really quickly. This cover by itself garnered 6 million impressions over a 10-day period. And what I love about this, people, please pay attention. This put pressure on white media, mainstream media, to not place any type of cover in Black History Month. This gentleman was an icon and we gave homage to him. And so I love my community for coming back and saying, why are other magazines putting anybody else, even when we know that your covers launch early for March, anybody other than a Black person in Black History Month? Come on, people, we can do better. We printed for the first time in 3 years. I want you to take a look at this cover. The young lady sitting in the middle, she is 14 years old and she attends college. She is a STEM student. So what Olay and the P&G brand Oil of Olay did with us is that we had an HBCU competition. We found 10 STEM queens, 100,000 votes in 3 days. We know what moves this community. They love to vote. They love to raise their hand and say what they want to see. We're so proud of this, but more importantly, we honored them at one of our biggest events. I'm going to talk about it in a few minutes, Power 100. And we gave them $10,000 so that they can continue their education. These are not celebrities. They're not entertainers. They're regular folks that need our platform to live their best lives. That's what we're about. We are a family brand that wants to elevate this community. This is a smart partnership, and we are open to all of you that want to reach this community in a really smart way. Let me talk to you about community and some of the community content that we have. We have something called Black Connect, where we're having really important conversations. Right now it's virtual, but guess what? We're hoping to have those in person. And we have something really fun and cute called Me and Black Twitter, where celebrities react to funny tweets, but it's still part of our community, right? Black Twitter is one of the most powerful organizations that don't exist in the world. We're excited to work with them. I got to give Verizon a little shout out because they sponsored a really important event that we do. Our signature event is called Power 100, where we honor the top 100 African Americans. It's going to happen again this year in Los Angeles, November 4th and 5th. Mark your calendars. Everybody won't get an invite, but if you're Black and you're doing great things, come on, Byron, then we're going to have you in the room and honor you and make sure you have a voice and part of our platform. But the important thing about this platform is that when we have an opportunity to highlight folks that are doing great, look what happened: 22,000 social posts, 268 billion newswire pickups. Oh, thank you for the love. Come on, newswires, and 6 billion impressions. This is an impressive platform, and we're excited. And this is a safe platform for your brands to sponsor. We're only taking 8 sponsors. I feel like I'm a used car seller right now. We're only taking 8 sponsors, but I don't want to, this is not one of those things that everybody can be part of. You know, one of the things that I know coming from and having a television background, we gotta create content, right? I'm taking one of Byron's notes. And so I hired my own in-house video team so that we can do that and we can create great content. Ebony Studio launch. I'm going to talk a little bit about this. 6 amazing projects in the pipeline that we know will live digitally and across different OTT platforms. We're excited about this, but I want to bring it back home so that I can launch Ebony TV soon. I'm not going to talk about it this year. I'm going to talk about it in 2023, but we got big plans. And I just want to talk about some of the content. We have the biggest archives of Black history in the world. Think about 75 years, 80 pages in all of those magazines. Jet, Black, Ebony, we have Ebony Africa, we have Ebony Junior. So we have an archives. They're all high-res digitized. Thank you, Google, for that. We're excited about that. And Coca-Cola was a sponsor of a lot of our platforms. We're launching a small business hub, the coolest Black family, Date with the Dish, Ebony Style Studio. We have an art and soul festival. We have a franchise for men called The Mandate. We are going to really dig into our HBCU. Ebony and HBCU is like Kool-Aid and a picnic day. So we're going to do that. And we're going to talk about health and wellness. Sorry, there is no space between health and wellness. I was rushing putting these together. I appreciate your love. And then Ebony Publishing. One of the brilliant things that I believe that we're doing over at Ebony is something I called alignment. So if you think about it, we're launching Viola Davis's book. We're going to put her on our cover. We're going to see what other conversations we can have. So we're trying to provide scale with our own ecosystem. So we're launching her book in April. We have a bunch of other great projects that are coming through that we're really excited about. But we know that when you can take things that are in writing and then create some type of screenplay and then do some other things with it, we're excited about that. Okay, I'm going to give you some time back, Byron. Let me talk about Jet. Everybody I know rolls up on me talking about where's Beauty of the Week. If y'all don't know what it is, shame on you. It was iconic, right? So when I talk about Jet, it's not going to come back in the same way. It is going to be a conduit. It is going to be a tech hub. It's going to be a place where we create and do amazing things for this millennial audience. This cover, it actually wasn't a cover, my apology. This editorial on Emmett Till launched the civil rights movement in 1955. Mamie Till had the courage to put her son, who was mutilated and murdered, in this book. And it really held a big conversation. Jet, in my heart, has a really special place in this community. And I want to take that and magnify that. So think about Jet as a place where we're going to be creating our metaverse. We're going to launch NFTs. We're going to have amazing content and live events. This is going to be a place and a space we're going to think, innovate, create, not only for us, but for other people that want to be connected to community in that 18 to 34 space. So we have really special plans for that. The last thing that I want to say, what we're really excited about, Ebony Beauty. So we just, if you saw in the news, people were calling me, they're like, you didn't already own the trademark for beauty and apparel? We did not. But 3 weeks ago, the Bridgman family were able to acquire that. So now we're going to be in the apparel and merchandise business, and we're excited about that too. We are building an ecosystem. We are proud of what we're building. We need amazing partners who understand, and I want you to hear this, that you cannot reach me through general media in the same way you would reach me through Black media, because Black media understands my journey, my path, my pain. And so I don't want to hear that from anybody. I want you to come to my family, who spends a lot of money, an amazing Black family, and my entire community respectfully, and that's to buy Black media, to advertise through Black media, and to do it the right way. And we're here to help you do that every single day. Have a blessed day. Thank you for your support. I expect a whole lot of downloads on ebony.com for our media kit and to sign up for our newsletter. Back to you, Byron. Thank you for this opportunity and this platform to share our amazing journey.
Oh my God, Michelle, that was amazing. That was fantastic. Thank you. You're amazing. And tell Junior I said hello, and I love his family. And I have to tell you, once again, that's the heart and soul of Black America, Ebony and Jet, as well as Black Enterprise. And I love the fact that you talk about, Black owned, Black female owned. I mean, that's amazing. You, Paula Madison, that is important to be amplified and celebrated. You're amazing. And thank you so much. And I love what you're doing over there. You make us proud. You make us proud. All righty. I think that is it for today. We have, we hit it. I think we went 5 minutes, 6 minutes past our time, but it was worth it. Sponsorships, long-term partnerships. And we're going to address the bottom 10, the worst in the ecosystem in terms of not leaning in on Black-owned media. That's unacceptable. And we believe that they should be exposed and held accountable, because it's not going to get better until they are. Kathy, I turn it back to you, and I look forward to picking it up tomorrow, because we have some more great folks, more great stories, more great platforms, and we're going to work together to make America better and to achieve that one America. That one America, that's what we're doing. Everybody's got to lean in, one America. Kathy, back to you.
Thank you, Byron. It was such I was fascinated today. I took a lot of notes. And we will be back tomorrow at 1 p.m. here, ET, with many more companies, and share the registration link if you've got colleagues who want to watch us. We'll be back at 1 with Byron, our MC, and all of our speakers. Thanks, Byron. Have a great evening.
I appreciate you all. Thank you. See you tomorrow. Thank you.